It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. On this, the 4th day of September 2024, brought to you by Chillie's Cruises and Will U.S., the owner of Scootaround. I've got some good news and I got some bad news, folks, before we get to the show today. The good news, I actually slept some last night. As a matter of fact, I overslept almost 2 hours this morning. And it turns out to be a busy day. And I've been scrambling like crazy nonstop since I finally woke up to get the show done. Because you would know on a day that I'm late, it's not a slow news day. But at least my buddy, the cruise ship doctor, Dr. Gerald Vukovic, he told me when I first came down with this double pneumonia business, he says, no matter what your doctors tell you to do and no matter what they give you for it, the best thing is sleep. And that's something I have been unable to do because I cough myself awake constantly. Now, I don't know how long this is going to last today, but obviously my voice is better this morning. I feel better this morning. I'm still not very energetic, but at least, it's better after a couple pretty bad days. And yesterday it was actually awful. So I was having some sleep helped. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is, I talked yesterday about them installing my hot water tank. By the way, folks, I don't know if I mentioned this or not. Do you know what hot water tanks cost today? Oy vey. I think the last time I bought one, which, of course, probably Columbus was sailing at the time, I think it cost me like $174. Damn things are $1,900 today. And then after they worked all day to get it installed, they couldn't hook it up. I had to call an electrician in. Couldn't get here till this afternoon. So I still got no hot water. So I haven't taken a shower. So today we'll be back in the shower business. All right, now getting on with the business at hand. A whole bunch of stories today. The top news story is a passenger charged with rape. Also today, cruise line urged New Zealand to reconsider their fee hike. Carnival supporting the Alaska seafood industry. Also today, the second Ritz-Carlton Yacht debuts. P&O updates its mobility policy, and I have some thoughts about that. Sitka loses internet for weeks. Also, their cell phones. High-speed internet for Juneau. Cruise line faces demands. Carnival ordered to pay an additional $2 million to a victim. And a crew member attacked over a drinks package. That and lots more here this morning at 11 o'clock. Today, folks, is National Macadamia Nut Day. I like nuts of just about any kind, shape, size, flavor, origin, doesn't matter. I like nuts. So I don't mind eating some macadamia nuts. I don't think we have any here. But, I'll go look. If you have any, have a macadamia nut for me today. If you're listening via the podcast, despite ups and downs in some of my technical issues this past week, hopefully we've gotten it all worked out now, and the podcast will be back on a fairly regular basis, posted within 15, 20 minutes of the end of the show. You can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net. or wherever you get your podcast from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News. And up pops the Fat Travel Guy. At least 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Sometimes on Saturday and Sunday, too. If you're listening via the podcast, there's always a link in the description so you can jump over to the video feed if you decide you want to check out an interview or a picture or a clip that we're using on that day show. All right, before we get to the news and everything else this morning, folks, we heard from Eli on location. This was in Portsmouth in the UK in England. And she said she woke up and looked out the window and felt like she was in the Panama Canal. Actually, she's on the Resilient Lady now. And the Resilient Lady sailed from Portsmouth this morning on its way to Amsterdam later today. And then tonight, they're going to have a thing there on board with the big guy, Sir Virgin Voyages. How's that? Sir Virgin Voyages and Boy George, live up on deck 16 of the Resilient Lady. So I'm hoping that Elizabeth makes her way up there to see Richard Branson. Of course, Richard Branson, not Sir Virgin Voyages. You guys all know that I'm teasing. And Boy George, that could be interesting. I don't know if she can get even close to him or not. But anyway, I have a feeling we might hear more about this tomorrow. Now, the other thing, most of you know that I was supposed to be yesterday on the train with Hot Air Tom. And that's Hot Air Tom on the train. He didn't fall asleep, actually, after all that middle of the night business. Cindy's still not speaking to him, by the way. She was angry. And having to get up and get him to the train station at 5:30 so he didn't have to pay to park his car. They don't live that far from the train station. I'm just joking. And that, of course, is where I was supposed to be. That looks to me like the spot for a wheelchair. And Hot Air has some bags sitting there instead of me. I wonder if he talks to his suitcases like he would talk to me. That's an interesting question to ask him. And then, of course, this is the train heading up the tracks and getting into the terminal in Boston. And looking back at the train. One of my favorite pictures in the world is the downtown skyline of Boston. I love it, probably because I've been there, numerous times. It started off as a child going to Boston every summer. So I know Boston fairly well. I don't know if I'm going to remember that much of it, but, one time I know it really well. And, of course, this is his view from the hotel room. He's on the 11th floor. Take a look at this, the joint we were supposed to be staying in. Now, the only thing I see wrong with this picture, folks, is that the desk space, which is over there near the balcony, we might be fighting over some inches over there for all the crap we carry for Hot Air Tom to work and for me to do shows and research shows and everything. It could be a little dicey on that one little desk, but I'm sure we'd come up with some way around it. The other thing I liked about this is the bathroom. Now, the bathroom has a tub, which you guys all know I can't get in and out of a tub. It doesn't work for two things. One, I can't lift my leg up to get in. And secondly, if I'd sit down in a tub, I'd never get myself back up. But it also has a really nice shower. Now, the only thing I don't see in that shower and it could be on the wall portion there separating the toilet. It could be a fold down seat. I don't know about that. If not, I'm sure all I'd have to do is ask for a shower stool, and they'd bring me one of those nice little stools that fit in the shower so I can sit down. Those of you that have been with me long enough know that I can't take a stand-up shower. I can get in a stand-up shower and wash my hair and rinse my hair and get out and not wash my body. Or I can get in a stand-up shower and wash my body and not wash my hair. I can't stand long enough to do both. So I have to have a seat, a bench, or a stool in the shower with, of course, the handheld shower. So, well, obviously that is a handheld shower nozzle thingy. So that part of it would work out just fine. That's really a nice room, Hot Air Tom. Very nice room. And I could definitely make do with that. All right, let's get started on a ton of news here this morning, folks, after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. All right, there's a lot of very negative stories today, stories that stories that I don't like to report on because they suck. A 28-year-old man was arrested this past weekend in Port Everglades on charges of raping a 20-year-old woman on the Freedom of the Seas. At the time of the arrest, Royal Caribbean cruise ship had just returned to port in Fort Lauderdale from a 7-day cruise to the Bahamas, Jamaica, and Cayman Islands. Juan Campos was booked into jail in Fort Lauderdale following the arrest. Campos' criminal defense lawyer told the press that it sounds like they were making out and it started going a little too far. When the lady said stop, when she verbally expressed stop, he stopped. The defense lawyer bizarrely claimed that the police report contained no reference to force or violence. Otherwise, they would have charged with using force or violence. Of course, as we know, the crime of rape does not require force or violence, but only the lack of consent. As global demand shifts to heighten sustainability, Carnival Corporation has taken decisive steps to support Alaska's seafood industry, which is facing growing pressure from global markets. Through its Holland America line and Princess Cruise brands, the company is sourcing seafood directly from Alaska and working closely with the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute to bolster the state's industry. Hoping to reduce fees for passengers and prevent a downturn in tourism, cruise lines are urging the New Zealand government to rethink plans for a significant increase in visitor fees. The proposed 136% hike in cruise visitor fees by New Zealand Customs on September 3rd has sparked concern in the cruise industry. It fears the move could exacerbate an alarming decline in cruise tourism nationwide. CLIA Australia Managing Director Joel Katz has voiced strong opposition to the planned fee increase, warning that it could worsen a cost crisis that has already caused harm to New Zealand businesses and local communities. According to Katz, New Zealand is witnessing a substantial decrease in cruise visitors, with a projected 22% decline during the upcoming summer season, a trend primarily driven by high costs and complex regulations. All right, cruisers, this is an update on our offer number 5, which is the transatlantic from Miami to Southampton on the Norwegian Bliss sailing January 4th. After several weeks where they showed no studio cabin availability, attention solos, there are now studios available starting at $984 per person, including taxes and port charges. Double occupancy for this cruise is $1,045 per person, including taxes and port charges. This goes from Miami to Southampton, stopping in Ponta Delgado, Lisbon, Vigo, La Havre, and then into Southampton. Join Hot Air Tom, Gary Older Than Dirt, and me on this fabulous transatlantic cruise, January the 4th. Just call me, 434-258-9264. Ilma, the second super yacht from the Ritz-Carlton Yacht Collection, officially entered service on September 2nd with a 7-night journey from Monte Carlo to Rome, a fitting maiden voyage for an ultra-luxe ship. The vessel, built by French shipyard Chantier de la Tinque, follows Ritz-Carlton's first super yacht, Evrima, which launched in 2021. P&O Cruises has recently updated its mobility scooter policy. While the new adjustment is made for safety concerns to ensure everyone can be helped in the event of an emergency, it could be seen as restrictive and limiting for those who use certain mobility devices. This means that if passengers used a power wheelchair, power scooter, or similar aid that has a detachable electric device, they must be booked into certain staterooms only. If they have booked standard cabins, they may be denied boarding or need to change their travel reservation to move to an accessible stateroom. Fully accessible staterooms include a range of deluxe balcony, suite, balcony, sea view, outside, and other cabin types, depending on which guests are considering the P&O cruise fleet. It should be noted that the policy update only applies to powered devices. Manual wheelchairs that are pushed or propelled by an individual with no electrical or battery assistance are still accessible in all cabin types, provided they can fold up into the proper size to fit safely and be stored out of the way. Guests who use mobility devices need to complete an onboard questionnaire as soon as they make their booking with P&O Cruises, or as soon as their need is known, perhaps with changing health concerns or mobility needs after booking. From a personal standpoint, I do not have a problem with this policy. That's what I adhere to on every cruise. I will only go into a wheelchair accessible cabin. Not only is it for safety reasons, that doesn't even mention the fact that there are others of us in wheelchairs, power wheelchairs, or scooters who have to navigate around somebody that's parked one in the hallway. Sometimes you can't fit two side to side. So you're blocking the hallway to the rest of us that have mobility issues. One popular port of call in Alaska is experiencing a technology crisis. At approximately 11:25 a.m. local time on Thursday, internet and cell service went out in Sitka, Alaska, and isn't expected to return for approximately 2 weeks. According to an update from GCI Alaska, the region's main internet and cell service provider, the outage was caused by a break in a key underwater fiber optic cable located about 30 miles off the coast of Sitka. A repair ship has already been sent to the site to fix the damage, but won't reach the location until around September the 6th, depending on the weather, and the repairs are expected to take up to a week or more. Royal Caribbean Group has partnered with Gold Belt Incorporated, an Alaska Native corporation, to bring Starlink's high-speed internet to Juneau for cruisers and locals to use free of charge as part of the new pilot program. The installation will begin the week of September the 2nd at Gold Belt Tram Lower Terminal and will continue north on Franklin Street with a full range expected to become active before the end of September. Carnival Corporation has been ordered to pay an extra $2 million in interest after trying to appeal a $10.2 million verdict in a sexual assault case, bringing the total compensation to over $12 million. The ruling comes after a Florida federal judge imposed sanctions on the company for delaying the case for an additional 2 years. The victim, a woman from Washington, D.C., referred to as Jane Doe, was 21 years old at the time of the incident, which occurred on December 2nd, 2018, aboard the Carnival Miracle. Doe filed a lawsuit accusing Carnival of false imprisonment and rape by Indonesian crew member Freddie Anggara. In 2022, a federal jury in the Southern District of Florida found Carnival responsible and awarded Doe $10.2 million in damages. Maybe now the victim can get her compensation. A cruise operator is currently facing demands for refunds and compensation following a widespread illness outbreak on board one of its vessels. 500 plus passengers aboard P&O Ventura were reportedly affected by a norovirus outbreak during a 2-week cruise around the Canary Islands that departed Southampton, England in May. Legal representatives pursuing compensation on behalf of affected passengers suggest that the number of those impacted could be in the thousands across multiple cruises. In response, P&O stated that it has established protocols to address health issues on its ships, asserting that less than 1% of the passengers on the voyage had fallen ill. However, a subsequent Freedom of Information request to the Southampton Port Health Authority revealed that at the peak of the outbreak, 519 passengers, equating 12.3% of those on board, were affected. I could be wrong, but this is the first time I recall any kind of charges being levied against a cruise line for a norovirus outbreak. A disturbing incident aboard a Mediterranean cruise has left a waiter with permanent facial injuries after a guest violently attacked him in the main dining room. The incident, which has shocked both passengers and crew, reportedly occurred during the evening shift when a disagreement over the misuse of a drinks package escalated into a brutal assault. The incident took place on an unnamed cruise ship as it sailed in Italian waters. A 57-year-old passenger from Palermo, Sicily, who had allegedly been misusing his all-inclusive drink package by ordering drinks for other guests, became enraged when confronted by a waiter. The passenger, whose identity has not been released at this time, is said to have repeatedly struck the waiter in the face with a glass bottle, causing severe injuries that are expected to leave permanent scars. The injured waiter was quickly taken to the ship's medical facility, where he received urgent care for his injuries. The severity of the attack led to the passenger being forcibly disembarked at the ship's next port of call in Greece. Following the disembarkation, the ship made a stop in Catania, Italy, where the victim reported the incident to the border police. The waiter has filed a complaint against the passenger, citing the disfigurement and permanent damage caused by the attack. I hope the waiter wins his lawsuit against this clown, and hopefully, whatever cruise line this was, I hope this guy has been permanently barred from ever sailing again.
We have the equipment you need to stay mobile. Whether you need a wheelchair, scooter, power chair, rollator, oxygen, or other pieces of mobility equipment, Scootaround, powered by Will, can help. Once you've booked your rental, we can deliver it to wherever you need. For your mobility needs, contact me or call Scootaround at 888-441-7575. Use SRN 11137 for the best rates.
And that ends today's news portion of the show. You'll notice I have added oxygen back on. And it wasn't because of necessity, it's out of precaution. Recently my oxygen has dropped. I'm just at random times. And it hasn't dropped today, but I just put it back on just to be safe. All right, let's go over in the chat room, see who's fussing at me today. If anybody's paying absolutely any attention to today's news story, of course, Mike's with us. He was here. Mike was here like 25 minutes early today. Says, yes, it's 4 p.m. there almost. Steve's with us. Good morning, Steve, out in Kentucky. There's Kenneth. Kenneth is heading to Boston to see Hot Air Tom take my place. There's Hot Air Tom says, hi, everyone. There's Gretchen out in Ohio. Katie, hope you're feeling better. So far today, Katie, this is liable to turn in a heartbeat. And I know not to do too much, but yeah, I'm feeling the best I've felt since I got home. So since I got on the airplane to fly home from Vancouver. That was the last time I felt good. So Gretchen says about $1,000. Yeah. Yeah, no. $1,000 doesn't even get the label off the damn thing. Wow. And we used to have, what are they called? The countertop hot water tank, a low slant, not the full tall thing, but it slowed down and had a shelf on top of it. We had a shelf on top of that. And that's where, for years, we always kept our laundry detergent and those damn sheets to go in the dryer and any of that stuff, bleach and whatever you needed in the washer and dryer. Okay, because it was right next to it in the corner. They don't make those little half things anymore. Well, they still make them, but they're like $6,000. So yeah, to save $4,000, you go up to a $2,000 model. And this is just a plain old hot water tank. And then who knows what? I got to pay for the electrician on top of that. Wow, that's a hell of a jump from $174 or whatever it was. Of course, like I say, that was 100 years ago. Bob's with us. Good morning, Bob. Last replaced hours for $1,700, Fred said. See there? Yeah, it's getting up there. So it's just a couple $100 more since you replaced one. Todd's with us. Good morning, Todd. Katie says you are in a lot of hot water. Not. Yeah. I want to be in hot water. I can't go in and use the hot tub in my sister and brother-in-law's bathroom or get in my shower. And I'm telling you, I've taken many a sponge bath, especially with the medical condition over the last 5 years, medical conditions. I've taken lots of sponge baths. I'm used to that. I'm not used to taking a sponge bath with damn cold water. That's awful. I mean, that's worse than the medical issues. Gretchen says she didn't know, obviously not. I have a 50-gallon water tank heater that is used to heat the house via the air handler circulation, and I don't think it was that much a few years ago. I bet it is today. There's Cindy Lee. Cindy Lee at sea. Good morning. Sounding much better, Chillie. Oh, yeah. I tell you what. I mean, my voice has held up through getting the show ready, all those stories, and the show so far. Yesterday, by the end of the show, I was totally hoarse. I had no voice left again yesterday. Kenneth says there's room for 3 in that. You look great. Yeah, well, the only problem with 3 in there, Kenneth, is somebody out of sleep with that. No. That's one thing. Gary and I have said the same thing, although we ended up not in the same room either because of the way things happened. Oh, yeah, we did one night. That's right. We did one night. But, yeah, no, it's going to be separate beds. I'm not sleeping in bed with the guy. And I don't care if he plays for my team or not. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Yeah, no, no. If I can't have the same bed, then I'll be on the couch or is sleeping in my chair or something. I'm sorry. I guess that's very, what's that word I'm looking for? Homophobic, maybe. I mean, and I have absolutely nothing against, folks that play for other teams. That doesn't bother me at all. Some of my closest friends are totally gay. I got no problem with that. I'm not going to, crawl in bed with hell, I wouldn't crawl in bed with a woman anymore either. But that's neither here nor there. I'm getting too damn old for that kind of shenanigans. This will be my first trip to Boston. Tom's going to wear you out. Well, he might. But I was so looking forward to this time in Boston. And I'm looking forward to the post-cruise time in Boston when I'm going to get back up there. And if we end up with 3 in the room, we'll work something out, Kenneth. Don't worry. Wonderful memories of Boston, Mike says. I will check at the hotel front desk to see if they have a shower seat. Yeah, you don't have to ask them for a seat. Just ask them for a stool. Shower stool is perfectly fine. And, that they're $29 or something. Just so they'll hold my fat butt. And I can sit down in the shower, and they've got, the rails to pull myself back up and everything. So, yeah, that would be awesome. And I might have to wait till I get there to request that. The bathtub has a handheld too. We can sit you on the side and flood the room. Yeah, no, that's not a real good idea. That's how you end up getting kicked out of rooms, is when you do something dumb like that. Gary Holder in the dirt. Gary, I'm finally home. Great to be home. Those eyes look evil. Yeah, his eyes did look evil. Here's one owl. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that. Wofadu Vayuadura. I'm sure I mispronounced that, but welcome aboard. Glad to have you with us. There's Emily. Hello, everyone. Gretchen says, welcome home, Gary. Geez, we've been home 2 weeks tomorrow. Yeah, but Gary spent some time with his family in California. He didn't come home when we did, Gretchen. He got on a plane to Sacramento and has been squirreling around with the kids and grandkids while he's out there. There's Roger with us from Jacksonville. Emily says, Gary, I hope you had a great trip. Roger says it's rainy in Jacksonville. Sun is out here up in New York. Our nights are much cooler now. Yeah, it's going to be a lot cooler here tonight, too. It was still decently warm yesterday in the 80s, but it got into the 50s last night. I think it might be in the 40s tonight. I haven't looked this morning. I hadn't had time. But, yeah, it's considerably cooler. I closed the pool yesterday because once you get the fall nights, even if we have another hot spell, the temperatures drop so much that none of us can get in it. So they came yesterday and closed the pool. That's another big bill coming. But Emily says, you're sounding better. Glad to hear it. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Thanks, Em. I appreciate that. Yeah, that helps a lot, folks. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. It doesn't cost you anything. That really helps us out. The bell notification will tell you when I go live or when a new video is posted. Mike says, I was about to post the same message. Thanks for you guys even thinking about me. I do appreciate that. Todd says hello to Emily. Single. Here's a sex bomber, folks. This is a sex bomber. Can I have your number? That looks like a dude wanting to get my number. Yeah, no. Gary says, I had a great trip. The Alaska trip was fantastic, and the grandkids were tough to leave. They're growing so fast. Yeah, putting two things in one big basket there, Gary. Let's see, 11 months for Emily's family. Most of the money for that hot water heater is labor. Well, that could be too. I don't know how the pricing goes. It's just in 20 years' time, it's gone up considerably. And Emily says her 11th month old's trying to walk. She can get up from her fanny by herself. That's good. Gary says the youngest is 13 months, just trying to walk. She has a 5-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl and the baby. Wow. Emily says, how's Boston today, Hot Air Tom? Reminds me of Steve Martin and John Candy, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah. I remember that movie. Fort Kenneth, you guys will have a great time. Somewhere in here, I saw it earlier. I must have missed it sliding through. But Hot Air Tom said hello to his Cindy. Where the hell was that? Oh, there it is. Oh, I missed it when I said hello to our Cindy, to Cindy Lee. Hot Air says hi to my Cindy in Richmond. Cindy, that's Hot Air Tom's way of saying, I'm so sorry that I got you up so early yesterday. I'm just saying, that's what it looks like to me. He's on the hands and knees. Make sure he brings you a box of donuts, Cindy. Okay. There I go coughing again. All right, that's going to wrap me up for today, folks. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a great day, everybody. See you back here tomorrow morning.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry, so if you'd like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.